Not too painful at all. Where are we? Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so so this, I'm just getting back to the slides to see what we had covered. Here's the step size. So this was for Mike in range 1, 10, 2. We get the values 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. For Barbara in range 0, 35, you go 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And then here, counting backwards, that was your question, Ibrahim. So yeah, if I wanted to print 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I go 5, 0, because I want to stop before 0. And then I put -1 as my step size. So here, how do we loop backwards? Print, write a for loop to print all numbers from 10 to 1 inclusive. So for Farha in range 10, go all the way to the number before 0, since we're counting down, right? Since we're counting down, that's going to be 10, then 9, then 3, then 2, then 1, and we want to stop at 0. So you need to put, if you had put 10, 1 right here, what's going to actually get printed? If I put 10, 1. Quickly, someone.
It'll stop at 2.
It'll stop at 2. It's going to print 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. So you need to actually put the number after where you want to stop, okay? Counting in the direction or going in the direction you like. So someone give me, if I want to count from, what would be, if I want to count from 1 million all the way to 0, but only print but the step size is 100,000. So I want to print 1,900,000, 800,000, 700,000, 600,000, and so on. Give me the code. Anyone. If it's you, Ibrahim, if it's someone else, David, Colsum, Sean, anyone, jump out.
Well, personally, the way I was going to say of doing it is just do a regular loop from 10 till 0 and just add, like, print manually your extra zeros. But
No.
so you do a for loop starting from 1 million, going down to 0, with your step size being -100,000.
1 million. You're saying go to 0 and then make it -100,000.
Correct.
Print I. Print all numbers from 1 million to 0. You sure about that?
Fairly certain.
Okay. So now what do you change?
Do you want to print 0 as well?
Yep.
Okay, so just go to -100,000.
Or just -1.
Yeah.
Any number just after the 0. And now it'll print the 0. Cool. So that's pretty easy. So for those who have not seen another language, like C and Java and C++, they all look pretty similar here. Like if I wanted to do that exact same loop, or let's just say if I want to come up here to what was one of our first loops, such as this one. If you wanted to do that in another language, such as C or Java or C#, it would be for, you'd say int I equals 0, I less than 10, I plus plus, and then you do your stuff right in there inside the loop. That's going to go from 0 to less than 10, and this is incrementing I. It's more complicated. So Python absolutely simplifies this for you and makes it easier to understand. So again, here's what I would encourage y'all to go through some of these, check yourselves. Again, I'm going to skip that also just due to time. And I would like to just, let's see. So here I said I'd get back to which is the appropriate loop to use. Well, it depends on your situation, okay? So when you know exactly how many iterations you need, if someone tells you you need to loop exactly this many times, maybe it's based off of user input, such as that subtraction problem, okay? Loop a certain number of times, then you use a for loop. All day makes your life easier. When to use a while loop is when it's open-ended. If they tell you, I need you to loop until the user enters an N to break out of the loop, well, then you don't know. Is the loop going to happen once, 10 times, 100 times, more? You don't know. So a for loop is not appropriate. A while loop, where the condition is going to test for these unknown factors, is therefore more appropriate. Okay? So that covers all of the basics of loops. What we have left today is to introduce and to work on a harder problem, the idea of nested loops. Okay, so first I'd like to introduce just this idea, and then we're going to end by trying to work on a much larger, complicated problem. So here, nested loops. The idea that one loop can in fact be inside another loop. So let's look at this. Let's try to make sense of this. So here, nested loops. We can put one loop inside another loop. So if I wanted to say for I in range 1 comma, how about for I in range 5? How many times is that going to loop, Colson, for I in range 5? Can you hear me, Colson? How many times, Colson, is that going to loop?
5 times.
5 times, from 0 to 4. Okay, so now I have a harder question. It's not that much harder, though. I think you can get this. For j in range 5. So notice that this for loop here, how about I just want to print? I want to print hello. So we have a for loop here that's going to loop 5 times. And inside that for loop, we have another for loop. Now, how do we know it's inside? Because of this indentation right here. Okay, right here, it's indented over. So for j in range 5, which we already know is going to loop 5 times, because if we have a 5, it's going to loop 5 times. So for j in range 5, print hello. But considering that this for loop is inside this for loop, which you already said is going to loop 5 times, Coulson, how many times is the word hello going to get printed?
10.
It's a good guess. I'm going to say it's not 10. So now think about that. That you said this is going to loop 5 times. And then for each of those 5 times, we're doing this. For each of those 5 times, we're doing this. So take another guess.
5.
Yeah, so each of those 5 times, this is going to loop 5 times. So here, like Coulson, if I ask you right now, if I only highlight that code, I say ignore this code above, ignore that. Just look at this. You answer very quickly. Can you unmute yourself, Coulson? How many times is that going to loop right there that I'm highlighting?
5.
So you've answered that correctly. That's going to loop 5 times. Now you said this is going to loop 5 times above. And so what I'm saying, for each of those 5 times, each time, this is going to be 5 times. And so really the total number of times we print the word hello is actually 5 times 5, which is 25. You actually print hello 25 times here. And that's kind of hard to visualize. So I think it's easy. Remember j, let's actually make j go from 1 comma 6. So j is going to loop from 1 through 5. And I'm sorry, I is going to loop 1 through 5, and j is going to loop 1 through 5. So let's actually print the value of I and j. So I'm going to say I is bracket and j is bracket. Dot format I comma j. And let's print this and see what we get. So look, this helps us to understand what's going on, that we see, come on, trying to drag this up. So it says I is 1, and so think about this loop here. I starts at 1, and then we go inside. We want to do what's inside that loop. How about I'll print, I'm going to print this. We are now inside the I loop. Okay, and then here I'm going to print, and now we are inside the inside the J loop. So let's run this again like this so we can understand it. 1, 2, 3.
You need to write print
I'm sorry?
before your first print statement.
That's helpful. Okay, so let's run that again and try to understand this. So look, it says we are inside the I loop. That's the first thing that gets printed. And now we are inside the J loop. I is 1 and J is 1. And now we are inside the J loop. I is 1 and J is 2. And now we are inside the J loop. I is 1 and J is 3. And now we are inside the J loop. I is 1 and J is 4. I should have made this 6. And you know what? I'm editing this code as I do this. I'm thinking on the fly. Is there a better way, I think, to help understand this? We are inside the I loop. Print. I'm going to do this. I is dot format I. And now we're inside the J loop. And the J is this. I think that's going to be better. I'm thinking on the fly here. Let's run this. So we are inside the I loop, and I starts at 1, right? So for I in range 1, 6. So I is 1. But then we go inside that loop, and we printed this. We're inside the I loop, I is 1. And we go inside that loop, and we have for J in range 1, 6. And I say, and now we're inside the J loop, and J is 1. And we're inside the J loop, and J is 2. And we're inside the J loop, and J is 3, and then 4, and then 5. So we just did that entire J loop from 1 through 5, and we're done with it. And so now we come back, and we're on the second iteration of this I loop. And it says we are now inside the I loop, I is 2. And we're now inside the J loop, and J is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we're inside the I loop, I is now 3. And J is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put your thumbs up in the manage participant in the participant window, please, if this is fully clear to you. And don't put it if it's not fully clear. There's nothing wrong to say, well, it's 90%, but it's not 100% clear. So if it's 100% clear, put your thumb up. So otherwise, try to think of a question. What would be something that you could ask? Like, what's not maybe clear? I always try to think, what's a good thing to print? If you have any suggestion, Ibrahim, would you print anything different here if you're trying to demonstrate this?
I might not put that, and now we are inside the J loop. Like I'd want to print that once.
One time,
I mean, I get the
correctly.
benefit of it, yeah. But
I agree with that. But then the code will be more confusing. I could put here, if J equals 1, only print that one time, just so it'll make more sense when we actually see it right here. So we are now inside the I loop, I is 1. And now we're inside the J loop, and J is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I can now, how do I say we're done? So here, let me even do this, print. And now, 1, 2, 3, 3 or 4, I don't remember. 1, 2, 3, yeah, okay. The J loop is now finished. Okay, so notice here, I do the entire J loop. And this print statement, it's not inside the J loop, because look at the indentation. It's very important in Python, the indentation. This print statement is only indented this much. So it's inside this upper for loop, the I loop. These lines, these 3 lines, they're indented, if you see, at least that much, so they're inside this for loop. So I made this print statement afterwards saying the J loop is finished. So I only want to print it once at the end of that for loop. So, but it'll still print each time the J loop runs. So now with that change, if this helps even make it more clear. So we're inside the I loop, I is 1. Now we're inside the J loop, J is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. J loop is now finished. We're back to the I loop, I is 2. We're now inside the J loop, J is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Again, I know a lot of you already understand this, but this is very, very critical. And after I explained this, even more than this to our college students this past semester, again, so a lot of you have already studied programming. So therefore, you'd be wondering, hey, this is maybe too much, it's easy. But many of you have not. So I have to realize that with this explanation, as much as it may be clear, it's the first time you've seen this. So you're processing a lot. A lot is going on up here. And it's a lot to absorb at once and to perhaps fully understand. So even after I explained this, even with more detail, I noticed there was still a lot of challenges with some of my students. And so here's where we have the value, again, of the debugger. So again, I'm not going to go through this fully, but I'm just going to open up very briefly the garbage. Where's the garbage? So file, open, pull up my garbage one. And so here, if I want to debug this, so notice right at the beginning and pay attention to the variables, okay, on the left side of the screen. So from range 1, 6, we're inside the I loop, we print I is 1. So now we're inside the J loop, and J gets the value, look at the variable on the side, J has the value 1. If J is 1, we said, let's go ahead and print this statement. You're inside the J loop. That's now done. We print that. So now we print, and we print the value J is 1. And so after we print that, where do we go? Are we going to come back up to here, or are we going to come to here? Well, we're not going to come to line 1 yet because we're not done. We have to do this loop on line 5. So we printed J as 1, but now we have to go to the beginning of this for loop again and realize J is now 2. J is 2. 2 does not equal 1, so we're not going to print that again. We print, and J is 2, and so on. J is now 3. We print it again. J then becomes 4. We print it again. J becomes 5. We print it again. And then finally, after printing J is 5, what happens is that loop finishes because the range was from 1 through 5. That loop finishes. We print J loop is finished. And then we go back up to this for loop, and I now gets the value 2. I is 2 if you look over here on the variables. We're now inside the I loop. We print I is 2, and we rinse and repeat, and we do this again for the entire J loop. Okay, so this is the idea of nested loops. And so with that in mind, so here, let me go back and ask this question again. So for I in range 10, for J in range 10, print hello. It's fine. Mariam, can you unmute, please?
Yes.
How many times is that going to print hello? You can say you don't know, but tell me what you're thinking when I ask you that question. Mariam, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so are you paying attention? Mariam's my daughter, for everyone who doesn't remember. So can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm asking you, how many times is hello going to get printed? Were you paying attention?
Oh, well, I'm just trying to think like.
Okay, right now, if I got rid of that, how many times is hello going to get printed?
10.
I can't hear you. Speak clearly.
10.
10 times hello gets printed. So when I do a nested loop, how many times is that going to get printed?
100.
Absolutely, it'll get printed 100 times. Okay, so I run that, it'll get printed 100 times. And in fact, instead of even printing, what do I want to print here? I want to print a number. So if you want to count, so I'll start count equals 1 outside. I'll print count, and then we'll increment count. Okay. So that's we're gonna have 100 times we're gonna print. So what if I wanted to change this to be 1,000 and 1,000? Ibrahim, how many times does that print? Can't hear you. Try again.
That's going to print 1 million.
That's going to print 1 million times. Now the computer does go much faster than this. The bottleneck here is the output window. Printing to the console, which is this output window, is a slow process. If you just wanted to run, basically, it's going to do it. It's going to do it a million times. Trust me. So if you don't want to print all of those times, but maybe afterwards you just wanted to actually print count at the very end. Okay, here, and I run, boom. It actually ran it a million times. That quickly. That's how fast computers are. So run it again. Boom, million times. So, but the reason I'm showing you this is that's only 2 levels of nesting. What if I wanted to come put in a 3rd level for I in range 1,000, for J in range 1,000, for IJK in range 1,000? David, how many times is this going to run? Or you better at Chloe. Chloe, how many times is this going to run? Or who haven't I called? Sorry, I keep calling people and saying never mind. How about Rebecca Fallow? How many times is this going to run?
Whatever 1,000,000 times 1,000 is.
Well, you could do that. What's a million with 3 more zeros?
Billion.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to run 1 billion times. So here it's important to demonstrate that. So new students, sometimes we're not as careful with our for loops, and we're like, why is it taking so long? It's only 3 lines of code. Well, because you just asked the computer to do something 1 billion times. So computers are fast, but this is taking a little bit longer, as you see here, right? I mean, it's actually still running because we just asked it to do something 1 billion times. And as I sit here, I'm just trying to chat to see. It shouldn't take, unless I coded something wrong. Did I do something wrong? It should be ending soon. We asked it to do this 1 billion times. That adds up. Okay. So actually, yeah, maybe anyone see anything wrong in the code for I in range 1,000, for J in range 1,000, for K in range 1,000, count plus equals 1? Yeah, I don't think it should take this long. Well, no, that was 1,000 times. Yeah, it could take this long. Absolutely. So I might even just leave that running. Do we have any questions? Any questions on for loops? I'm going to leave that running as we go try to explain the introduction of the next problem. So here's the problem I want to solve today. Okay, so this is, if you reference these slides, this is where I introduced the idea of nested loops. Here's what I want to solve. I want to print out this famous multiplication table. And I want y'all to try to do this in groups. So when you get into your groups, I'm going to ask you to make it a baby step goal to print just this, just the table, and you can do it 1 through 12. I want you to print just that. I don't want you to worry about the heading, the row headings right here. I don't want you to worry about the column headings right here. Don't worry about that just yet. Only worry about, as a baby step goal, trying to print this within 2 sets of for loops. So you have to think about, we're going to have one loop that's going to loop over the number of rows. And then for each row, I need to print, like, so for that first row, I need to print those values, which is just 1 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then when I get to row 4, for example, I need to print these values here. And what are these values? Well, those values are 4 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So for every single row, you're going to loop here 9 times. So when you get to row 7, we're going to loop 9 times. And we're going to multiply 7 times 1, 7 times 2, 7 times 3, all the way to 7 times 8, and 7 times 9. And we're going to print all of those values. So my poor computer, if you could hear its fan right now, it is just struggling. So let's come back to this. It is still running. I'm going to have mercy on the computer. I'm going to hit stop. Okay, so what I'd like to ask all of you is give me your thumbs up if you understand what I want you to code up. What I want you to do is as I said, the baby step goal of trying to just do this. Okay, so I'm going to go to breakout rooms. Let me hit stop on the annotation. Bear with me. Clear, stop, and breakout rooms. 3 rooms. And let's see. Just 1 second. I'm checking the rooms. I try to sort people based off of what I've seen from the skill sets. And this looks just fine. So here we go.
Sean, Miriam, either of y'all?
Any
I would
one of you.
rather not code.
Farhad, do you want
Okay.
to code? Or Ibrahim, do you want to code?
Farha said she can't.
Go ahead and jump in.
Miriam, I know you don't have a mic. If you want to, you can say something.
Go ahead, Ibrahim.
Not sure. Hold on, let me share my screen. Oh my goodness. Zoom, share screen. Okay, can y'all see?
Yes.
All right, so I have my screenshot. Okay, let's start. 2 for loops.
And allow me to ask you, I'm going to see what variable names you come up with, but choose good variable names. That would be my suggestion.
Okay, I'll
For
just
your
use the I and
ranges.
J.
Use ones that are more valuable.
Okay, so 4 row.
That makes more sense, right?
Yeah, I guess. That's just I'm used to. Okay, we're going up till, what did it say? 9. Oh no, colon.
Okay, is anyone helping at all? Who's coding?
Me.
Coulson, you're coding. Rebecca, David, are y'all giving any input?
Not at the moment.
Yeah, so let's
Trying to figure out the problem in my head.
Yeah, so just let's work together. Let's try to see if we can work together as a group. So Coulson, at first I was wondering, what are you doing? But now I see you're actually just on lines 1 and 2, you're printing the values 1 through 9. Then on lines 3 and 4, you're printing the values 2 through, 18, in theory, yeah. And so that I see what you're doing. You're going to get it correctly. But no, what I want you to do, though, instead, is to have 2 for loops that are nested. So you were about to go make 9 different for loops, and it would have worked. But I only want you to have 2 for loops. So if you have a picture, do you have a picture of the multiplication table? Coulson, did you have
Yes.
you took a picture of with your phone or something?
Oh, I have a book, and it's usually at the back of the books.
Here, well, no. I'm just gonna stop your sharing. I want you to share again in just one moment. I'll stop your share, and then I will share my screen just so you can look at this again. Where's my share button? So here, again, the goal is to print this. But so what you want to do is we want to have one for loop that's going to loop 9 times, and those times are really representing the number of rows. And then inside that for loop, for each of those 9 rows, so starting with row 1, we want to then print all of the columns. Then we come to row 2, and we want to print all of these column values for row 2. And then row 3, all of these column values. All the way until row 9, we want to print all of these column values. So that's actually going to be a nested loop. So Rebecca, David, and Coulson. Coulson, can you share again? I'm going to stop my share. And how do I stop sharing? Here we go. So Coulson, can you share your screen again? And Rebecca and David, can y'all try to group solve this together with Coulson?
Sure.
Rebecca, are you with us?
Yes.
So what can we do? And let me encourage you, I'll start you. If you can erase all of that. Yep. So how about, I'm even going to give you a variable to use. For, yep, type for row in range. So how many rows do we have, Colson?
9.
Yep, we had 9 rows. So how many, what do you put there for within your range to get the 9 rows? For row in
10.
range?
10.
You could, no, so you're going to put 1 comma 10, right?
Yeah.
For row and range, 1 comma 10. Go ahead. Colon. And now inside that, you want to do another for loop. Can y'all help her out? Or do you, for what?
Column.
Yeah, for column in range, or COL. For COL in range what?
1 to 10 still, right?
Yep, because you're going to loop again 10 times. Yep. And so we're not worried about how it's formatted yet, but what do you want to print now? Just print the answer. What's the answer going to be? Any ideas, Rebecca, David?
Do you want
Uh,
to print the columns all at one time, or do you want to print the rows?
We want to print, Coulson, I'll have you share in just one moment again. So imagine when row is 4, we want to print a 4 followed by an 8, followed by a 12, followed by a 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36. So if the row value is 4, what did you just say the column values are going to increment over or iterate over? They're going to go 1 through 9 are the column values. So if the column variable gets a value 1, then 2, then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the row variable is currently set at 4, how do I get this value and then this value and this value?
oh, row times column.
There you go. So Coulson, can you share again?
I was confused in my head because I was trying to format it like that.
Yeah, don't worry about the formatting just yet.
That's
So
why I was confused because I was like,
yeah.
how do I get it going like in the same line?
Yeah, well, so we'll do that step by step. So just print, would you say row times column?
Yeah.
Can you go ahead and type that? Just row times column. Okay, so run that and see if that gives us the correct values. And sure enough, it is. If you look, the last, we have 7 times 1 through 9. The last set is 9 times 1, 9 times 2, all the way to 9 times 8, 9 times 9. So those are the correct values. That's working correctly. So how do we make them all on one line? What can we put on line 3 within that print statement to make them all be on the exact same line? Rebecca, David?
Something related to formatting. I know that much.
Oh, we definitely can do formatting, but no, before we even do formatting, what can I put right here? After row times call, comma, what can I put whenever we want to stay on the same exact line?
End
Yep.
equals parentheses.
Yep, end equals, and then put
Quotation
a
mark.
pair of quotation marks. So put comma, space, end equals, and then put a set of double quotations. Yep, so now run that again. So that's a better start, but now we're never, ever, ever printing a new line because we're saying, hey, always print on the same line, which is good, kind of. So we're getting closer. So how do we actually make this happen now? And so let me even encourage you. Can you click right here, Coulson? Put a quotation. Yep, put the curly brackets, like for the formatted printing. Yep, put a space, and now put a close quotation, dot format, open parentheses, and then put a close parenthesis after the call. No, what happened? Right there. Yep, so now run that again. So everything's spaced out, but it's all on the same line. So I'm just gonna give you a hint. I'm gonna go visit the other screen, one of the other groups. You need to print something right here to be able to, you need to put somewhere, you need to print just a new line. So I want y'all to think about when, and then discuss as a group if you can, why that makes sense. So you're very close. So you need to just put a single print statement to print a new line. The question is, where do you make that happen? So we got our values. Are you able to print them in a
No,
slightly more?
No, we're having trouble getting them all on the right, like the same line.
Okay,
Like
so
each set.
yep, that's what I was just helping another group with. So here, if you were to, what can you print right there after rows times columns? What can you print right there to make sure you're staying on the same line, that you never get a carriage return or never hit enter?
Is it comma end? Is that what it is? Is that
Exactly what it is. Go ahead and put that.
Okay.
End equals. No, comma end equals, and you have to put a set of double quotations. So now everything's on the same line. It's not the most attractive, but it's all on the same line. So here, let's come up here actually and make formatted printing instead. So if you can click right there at the beginning of rows times columns, if you can see my annotations, yep, right there.
Oh, they're not popping up on my screen.
Oh, you don't see this stuff?
Oh, now it came through. There's a line now.
Okay. So yeah, so click, yeah, you already clicked there. Go ahead and make an open quotation. Put curly brackets, space, close quotation, dot format, open parentheses, and then close the parentheses right where I put the dot. Right here.
It's not showing up.
Okay, after columns.
Okay. Oh, I see.
Okay, so that's not ideal, but everything's all on the same line. So what I want you to think about is, what do you do now to somewhere, basically after, can you see my annotations?
You circled print. Oh,
Yep.
I see now. Yeah, at the bottom.
And so that's the first 9. Here's the next 9, right? Here's the next 9. And here's the next 9, and so on. So you want to put an enter after each set of 9. How do you do that? Discuss that as a group and see if y'all can come up to a solution. Jonathan, Maria, Musab, see if y'all can help out. Chloe, think about where you can put just a single print, empty print statement to get a new line. Where do you want that new line to occur? Try to discuss that as a group.
So every 9 numbers, you're gonna do a new thing, right?
Yep, but you don't need an if statement. If you put the print statement in the correct location, you don't need to actually use any if condition. It's just, you just need to know, where do I put this print statement? And once you see it, it'll make sense. I want to see if y'all can come up with that. Any suggestions, Jonathan?
After, like after the second for loop.
So can you tell us exactly? Tell Chloe where to click.
Like on the same indentation as, no, other indentation.
But you're saying after the for loop. So click at the end of line 3, then hit enter. And so now what does she do?
That's backspace. I backspace. It's I would put it in the first for loop.
Just, you're saying hit backspace right there once.
Yeah. Yep.